Hey, what's going on, guys? Dr. Sean J. Harris here, Generational Wealth Academy. Great morning to everybody. Hey, listen, let's talk about education. I want to talk about write-off education versus debt education. So listen, we have three types of education. The first and most common type of education is what's known as an academic or scholastic education. This is where we learn how to read, write, do arithmetics. Basically, this is teaching us how to be able to exchange our time for somebody else's money, i.e. a job. Second type of education is called a professional education. A professional education allows us to be able to hone in on our skill set and get a little bit more accuracy in our education. So great examples of that would be medical school, law school, engineering, architect, chemist, something like that, aerospace, propulsion, aeronautics. So now we tend to position ourselves where we can now either become self-employed or start a company because we have more of a professional type of education. Now, these are the two educations that are taught in the traditional school system. The third type of education isn't taught in the school system, and that's what's called a financial education. A financial education starts teaching us the in and outs, maneuverability of money, finances, income, being able to understand the laws of money, how money work, how to first make money, how to hold on to money, and then third, how to grow the money. See, we have to be able to learn all these skill sets to master being able to accumulate money or wealth. So with that being said, let's talk about education that is positioning us for debt versus education that is an investment and also can be a write-off. So typically, we're always taught, go to school, get good grades, go get a good job, and everything will be happily ever after. So many times people are conditioned to believe that you have to go to college in order to attain success. And that just simply isn't the case. Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, once said, and I'm paraphrasing, a college education does not guarantee success, neither does its absence lead to automatic failure. So again, when you look at Ray Kroc, he started McDonald's at age 67, 65. Colonel Sanders with KFC, same thing. So it's not about getting the college education that's going to ensure that you succeed. Because again, guys, I know people who have more degrees than a thermometer and just not hitting on all cylinders financially. So it's the type of education that we get. Here's the deal. Many people go into student loan debt. I just read a study the other day where 42% of college graduates who received a degree simply are not happy with where they are in life. Another thing with that is that your college education is just a debt. You can't write that off. But at the same token, getting a self-taught financial education, behind me here you see books. I got books off camera, got books over here as well. I've read over 1,500 books since I graduated high school. Now, I did the mathematics study on college books. In order to receive a 4-year degree, that's equivalent to 8 to 10 years per year for a 4-year degree. So at best, that's 40 books that it takes to get a college degree. Let's double that number to get a PhD. Let's say 80 books. But I'm going to show some grace. Let's say that it took 100 books to get your PhD. I've read 1,500. Do the math. So again, it's the type of education that you get. Many college people that I talk to tell me that most of their college books they never really use. They may have even cracked them open once or twice that entire semester. So it's a part of the money system of college, which I believe personally is one of the biggest mafias ever created. So again, when you self-taught and you get books, so let's see, like here, this is one of my favorite books. Why Do All the White Guys Get All the Fun? This is one of our black billionaires, Reginald F. Lewis. Books like this is what gave me a foundation of financial footing. Being able to associate, be able to be in the masterminds, be able to get coaching, mentorship from multimillionaires and even billionaires. That's how I attained the education that I have when it comes to economics and being an economic expert. So again, when I read a book like this, when I buy a book like this is tax deductible. Every book you see behind me is tax deductible. When I sit down and I meet with millionaires or I mastermind with millionaires or even billionaires, that's a tax deduction for me. So my financial education is completely free other than the work that I put in. So again, and I'm going to use Michael Jordan, that's the era I come up in, Michael Jordan, you can buy a video of him teaching you the fundamentals of basketball and you will attain only a certain level. You can then buy a video of Michael Jordan teaching fundamentals of basketball. You'll probably learn a little bit better because now you're seeing it. Okay? But it's not until you meet one-on-one with Michael Jordan do you get the true understanding of the fundamentals of basketball, because you have him there one-on-one coaching. He can position you. He can actually physically move your leg. He can tell you to hold your arms up this way, block the ball that way. Now you're going to have a much better education and learning experience by having a one-on-one coaching. So again, do you see the vast differences between going to college, just reading a college textbook, versus getting one-on-one application, being able to sit down with millionaires and multimillionaires and being able to walk through the business structures. That's why my kids are successful, because I would take them to business meetings with me. Coming out of the womb, they would go to Chamber of Commerce meetings, they would go to business meetings, they would go to speaking events with me. They would start seeing the ins and outs, workability of running companies. The same way my parents did with me. My dad would put me in the car and we would go to different events. I would see my mom run in the back office to see how companies are built, how they're run, how they're scaled, and even how they're able to be sold. Because my parents sold their company many moons ago. So I was able to witness how this is done because I had practical application. So again, we have to focus on what type of education is important. So many times people will ask my kids in particular, are you going to college? They may not. That decision is going to be up to them as that time starts getting a little closer. But as a society, we have to get out of that mindset and that false ideology of believing that college is going to guarantee you some type of success. And it's not. One of my coaches, my mentors, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. Dr. Kimbrough wrote this book. See, I keep very important books close to me. Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. One of the most sought after speakers, financial gurus on the planet. Dr. Kimbrough had interviewed tons and tons and tons of multimillionaires and billionaires to understand how first they established the wealth and then how they kept the wealth. But Dr. Dennis Kimbrough told me one day sitting in his office at Clark Atlanta, he said, Sean, oftentimes A students teach B students who work for C students. And then I specifically remember he looked out the window. He said, Sean, many of those guys down there in the promenade, they're D students, but they name these buildings after the D student. So again, we have to understand and we have to change our paradigm. We can't keep thinking the way our grandparents thought and think we're going to get a better result in 2023 and moving forward. We have to change the way we think. We have to change our relationship with money. See, many times, many of us have grandparents or either parents who grew up and experienced the Great Depression. So their thoughts on money is quite differently than this generation's thoughts on money. Many times they had to scrimp, they had to budget their money more fiercely than what this generation does today. So they see money differently. They hoard money typically. And they aren't quick to let it go, invest it or spend it. So again, if we want different results, we have to do different things. It reminds me of a story as I close out. We do things that our previous generations do only because we don't know any better. Let me give you an example. There's a little girl. She was in the kitchen watching her mother cook. She was making a ham. So the mother cut off the butt end of the ham and discarded it, and then put the ham in the oven. The little girl said, Mom, why did you cut off the butt end of the ham and throw it away? The mother replied, I don't know. I just saw my mom do it. If you really want to know, go ask your grandma. So the little girl went in the other room and asked Grandma, hey, Grandma, I watched Mom cut the butt end of the ham off and discard it. Why did she do that? She said, well, I don't know. I just watched my mom do it. She said, if you really want to know, go ask your great grandma. So the little girl jumped on the phone and called great grandma. Great grandma, question for you. Why does mom and grandma cut the butt end of the ham off and discard it? The great grandmother then looked and replied to the girl on the telephone and said, girl, we cut the butt end of the ham off so it'll fit in the pot. So again, things were done systematically, generationally, without a legitimate excuse. It's just because you saw it done, but you never really had an explanation. So again, many people tend to think that they're making money the way their parents did and their grandparents. They go to college because their parents did and their grandparents did, and they were forced to go into it many times. Because I had a parent just a couple weeks ago who told me, said, Sean, my kid's going to college no matter what. I said, okay, that's pretty cool, but what do they plan to study? Well, I don't know, but they're going to college. So again, they're forcing their kid to do something because they were forced to do it, and that person isn't where they want to be financially. So why would we use the same mechanism or the same tool or instrument that didn't really work for us and push that off onto our kids? So again, it's the butt end of the ham. So we have to start thinking differently to do different things. Tara and I, we raise our kids in a certain way. They started their companies when they were 7 years old. Kennedy is now 13, Caden is 12. They both run successful six-figure businesses. We put things in place when they were babies that allows them today to have six-figure net worths. So I say that to say this point. The methodologies that we teach our kids are quite different from what traditional society teaches. Caden is currently a senior in a high school program. He'll be graduating this summer as a 12-year-old high school senior graduate. He's also dual enrolled in college simultaneously as a 12-year-old. So when you look at these differences of other kids in their same positions, our methodologies really shouldn't be questioned. You can ask questions, but don't question how we roll, because obviously what we're doing works. So the better question would be, how can you teach me some of the fundamentals, the blueprints, and the strategies that you're using to yield a different result in your children? All right, guys, I'm Dr. Sean J. Harris. Make impact and make money while you're doing it.